All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a good Monday morning. Hope everybody is off to a great start, getting the kiddies to school, getting to work, whatever it is you have to do today. I hope you are on your way to that. But this morning, I have a special guest joining me for the show, and this special guest is a local politician here in the state of Alabama. He's currently an Alabama state senator for southern portion of Alabama, covering 4 counties: Baldwin, Mobile County, among a couple of others. I'll get him to clarify that when he gets on here. But he's running for the second congressional district. All right, that's the House of Representatives for District 2 in Alabama, and the polls will be open March 5th. Now, my guest is Greg Albritton, and let me bring him in. And you are watching the Captain's Quarters show, hosted by yours truly, L. Milliner, the Captain. Let me bring in my guest. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, Ed?
I'm doing well. Again, thank you so much for hopping aboard with me. If you would, go ahead and introduce yourself to those who do not know you and reintroduce yourself to those who do know you.
Sure. Greg Albritton, State Senator for Southwest Alabama, covers Washington and Escambia and Mobile and Baldwin counties.
Awesome, awesome. Now give me a little bit of background. So how long have you been in politics and what positions have you held previously?
Well, I've been in the House of Representatives long ago from '02 to '06, and then went out and came back in 14 to the Senate, and have been in the Senate since. I'm serving now as chairman of the General Fund in the Senate.
Okay, all right. Now running for the current seat that you're running for,
Yeah,
what
District
is
District 2, congressional seat. Yep.
right? So what would be your role? How would your role be different from your current role right now?
Interesting. I'd be moving from a body that's one of 35 members to one in 435 members. That's almost a step down, it sounds like. But in the general fund of the state, most of our money, we handle something like $3.1 billion in the general fund every year. That's state money. But we actually spend somewhere close to $22 billion. That's because of all the federal money that comes in. So the state is totally dependent on federal money, federal largesse, if you will. And since that's the ultimate aspect of where the money comes from and how the best place to be is in Washington to control that money coming down, that's what I want to do.
Okay. Now I know a big thing right now is I've been seeing the whole gambling bill. That's they're trying to push that again. I know previously it was more of just the lottery and it fell through. This was few years back, but now they're trying to bring a more comprehensive gambling bill. And I understand that you are instrumental in that. Can you explain that a little bit for us?
I'd like to be instrumental in something like that, I tell you. But whether I am or not, that's another matter. Look, the state of Alabama has gambling going on right now. We have a number of casinos, which really they're not casinos; they're one-armed bandit places. Okay, they're electronic bingo machines, which has bingo on it, but you pull the lever, bells and whistles go off, and they take your money. But anyway, we've got several of those, not just with the Indian tribes on their land, but we also have, I've heard reports that these things exist in all 67 counties. It's just a matter of how many machines are in each one. We've got sports gaming going on. We've got online gaming going on. We've got more casinos types being built. And all of this has no control by the state at all. We have no taxation by the state at all. We have no regulation by the state at all. It's the Wild West in Alabama. Everybody goes outside to another state to buy the lottery tickets. Everybody does their gambling online or into one of these casinos. Everybody goes to the sports places to do the betting on sports. It's all over us. And yet we continue to let that grow without any control or without any benefit. That's what this gaming bill does. It captures where we are. It controls it. It stops the proliferation with the unregulation, and we benefit from it.
Okay. All right. Now,
Did you catch all that? Did you catch all that, Captain?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if this bill goes through, the current one right now,
yes, sir.
What would that mean for the voters of Alabama or the people of Alabama? Would we vote for it, or is this something that if it's passed, it gets passed, it becomes law?
No, we don't have that authority to do so. It would have to go to the locals for everybody statewide to vote on whether to accept this plan or not. But before the folks can vote for it, the legislature, House and Senate, have got to agree on what the boundaries are going to be so that the people can vote on whether that's acceptable or not.
Okay. And what would be the main purpose of the bill? Like, so I understand this for tax dollars and creates revenue.
No,
but where would the money go to specifically?
First off, the tax dollars is a byproduct. The main thing that we're trying to do here is get control of this industry in Alabama. We're trying to right now. We had a $35 million investment, another bingo parlor, if you will. That's One-Armed Bandits. It just got built with no regulation, control, or license. Okay, at least on the state level. So those will continue to grow. Those will continue to spring up. Not to mention all those that are in the back places. Alabama's got to take control of this industry. Alabama's got to control its growth, if it's going to grow, or stop its growth, whichever one we can work through and get. And then we also have got to be able to control all the online gaming, all the sports gaming. With NIL out there, sports gaming has taken off huge. And we had I've heard a report that $2.5 billion of bets on the last Super Bowl in Alabama were made. All those were illegal, and yet there's no control over it. We've got to get control of this industry. That's what this is mostly about. Yes, there will be revenue, somewhere around $700 to $900 million every year coming in from taxation and regulation and license fees. But that's a byproduct from what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. All right. Now let me kind of segue into another topic here. But before I get to that topic, I want to ask you a couple of questions about you personally. So are you a man of faith, Christianity, or anything otherwise?
That's an interesting question. I would like to think and hope so. I am. I do attend church. I'm involved in church. I raise my kids in church. Yeah, I think so. I try to be every day.
Absolutely. When you are in your role, whatever role you are in politics at the time, how much does your faith guide you in, the job that you have before you?
Every day, and every day, I seek guidance for any decision and all decisions, and try to follow the pattern that the Holy Spirit guides.
All right, good deal. Now I saw that you kind of it is, to me, it's ridiculous that this is even something that people will kind of harp on, but I saw that you were in support of a bill that made abortion illegal at any point in pregnancy. Is that am I correct on that?
I think what you're talking about is the bill we passed, I think it was last year or so ago, which had to deal with the definition of when life begins. and that was the definition was at conception. Yes.
Okay. So just to be clear about that bill, personally, I'm a person who's pro-life 100%. So I don't believe that there's any point where we should choose to, take the life of the child. Um, at the end of the day, the child is the only innocent party in the whole situation because the child didn't ask to be conceived. So so on that vein, so that does that bill protect the life under all circumstances?
Well, it defines life as at conception. So what that does, as I understand it, is that places the responsibility as to when you're going to do, if it's an abortion or some other matter, that you're dealing with a life at that point. That's now part of this gets into, and you've probably seen in the recent Alabama Supreme Court decision that said because of this bill, that's got and has effect on in vitro fertilization and the ramifications that have come about because of that. We've got a bill. We've got a bill now coming up to try to clarify that, because I think where we're headed here is a clarification so that life is conception and within a growth period. I guess that means it's going to be somewhere, and I haven't seen the bill, I'm just speculating, but I suspect that we're going to have this so that the embryo is embedded in the uterine wall where it can grow. If it's growing, it's life. If it's not growing, it isn't, I guess. I don't know. But we're trying to find a clarification along that line.
Yeah, that gets very the whole IVF idea, that just, to me is very weird. It's just I don't know. It's almost like we as humans are trying to insert ourselves or our mentality or our creativity into creating life, and it's like it just gets weird to me. I guess I'm just more of an old school look. One man, one woman. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it may not be be meant to be.
Well, are you suggesting here, Captain, that maybe man is trying to supersede or supplant God?
That's what it seems to be.
Wouldn't be the first time, would it?
It would, and it won't be the last, unfortunately.
No, exactly. And you're right.
So
I agree with you. That whenever you start delving into those matters and carrying things forward, you can develop all kinds of scenarios that become troublesome.
right. We tend to, where there isn't an issue, we tend to try to fix the issue and we end up creating worse issues. It's just
Correct.
anyway.
Yep. Every
So I
time you
want to
fix
talk
a
about
problem,
something
you
else.
create two new ones, right?
I have spoken to another senator recently, and I'm hoping to have more on as well. And I'm going to ask every last one of you guys and ladies this question: when it comes to crime, all right, in the state of Alabama, all right, I live in Montgomery, all right, I'm not born here, but I was raised here from age 5 up to high school, and I've been here since I left college. I have watched my city just get worse and worse and worse when it comes to crime, and it seems that part of the issue is a lack of punishment or a lack of whatever you want to call it, confinement for those who are violent. Now, what role do you play in as far as making laws for the judge to be able to hand down the appropriate, bail or bond or no bond or sentencing? What is your role in that arena?
Pretty significant. Jurisdictional aspects of the courts are within the hands of the legislature. We define those jurisdictional boundaries. and we set particular things along that. And most often we give judges a very great amount of, as they call it, discretion on how they can, within ranges of accomplishing those things. But that's just one part of the problem, though, if I might. Someone commits a crime, they go to trial, they get convicted, and then they get sentenced. Then what? Where do you go? That's part of our problem in Alabama. We have no place to send them. We have no place to keep them. Have you been to a prison lately and seen that? We're having to shut prisons down because they don't work. They're unsafe. The toilets don't flush. The locks don't work. It's in great big huge dormitories. The guards can't go in there without threat of their life. These are bad places. We are on a pattern now of trying to remedy that. We have a prison, a brand new prison being built in Elmore County. We have plans for another down in Escambia County. That will not be new beds. Those will be replacement beds and put more controls and such on. That's going to be expensive, and no one wants to pay for it. Prisons are not a good thing. You can't sell that to the public. But if you can't have a place to put the people that need to be put away, where are they going to wind up? On the street and in your bedroom and in your house. We've got to get new prisons in so that we can house these people, control them, and keep them safe, along with folks that work there. So, yeah, we're highly involved with that, and I think we're making some progress.
Okay. So when it comes
more than you wanted to know, right?
Go ahead.
I said that was more than you wanted to know, right?
No, I want to know it all. I want to know it all because okay. I do agree with you. I agree that this is it. When we often look at crime as an issue, we don't look at the full scope of what creates crime and why it continues to happen. And you know, it tends to be the same criminals over and over and over, and we wonder what's going on. But like you said, I agree. There's overcrowding in the prisons. Now, personally, I don't necessarily care a whole lot about their comfort and whatnot, but I do get what you said about they're living in dormitory type style, and it makes it unsafe for the COs to go in if there's an issue or maybe just do their checks or whatnot. I do understand that portion of it. So
you wait till you go visit one of these, Captain, and you go inside one of these places unarmed, alone, and you'll see and feel what the problem is. That is a major issue. My sister used to work at one of those, and at one point during a riot, they were breaking the door down to get into her cubicle where she was locked in to get into her. Those are conditions that we cannot tolerate for anybody that's employed by the state. And the difficulties that we have in putting the Tiger teams in there to put the riot down, to get them separated, we have no places to put them. All we do is shovel them back into the 100-man dormitory. We've got to do things better, not for comfort, not for specialized housing that's comfortable. No. But so that we can keep them safe and keep them controlled, and so that when the CO goes into work, he feels comfortable that they're going to be able to go home and not in a body bag. That's what we got to deal with.
Right. Now when it comes to those that are, now I know you said earlier, you mentioned that the judges are given discretion. Okay.
Yep.
Now, what's the balance on that? Because I'm seeing personally where judges are given.
You froze up, Captain.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. You saw personally where judges have given what?
Yeah, so I'm seeing judges that are giving bond to attempted murderers, to other violent offenses, and oftentimes, just in Montgomery, I mean, we've had 2 or 3 guys just here recently get locked up for attempted murder or get locked up for robbery, get out, bond out, and then they end up killing someone. So what's the balance on the discretion? Like it just seems to
The
be
balance,
an issue
if
here.
I might, the balance is elections. All of our state judges are elected positions. And if a judge is doing that to that community can diselect them just like they diselect me. That can happen. That's the check. So the legislature coming in and doing more controls on that, like you said, with any other, you fix one problem, you create two. The biggest control that we have on what you're discussing is put good conservative judges in place that understand how to use discretion and how to protect the public.
Okay. That's absolutely right. I think a lot of people don't understand that part. They don't
They
get
don't.
that these judges we vote for these circuit court judges. We vote the people who are seeing these cases, we're putting them into their seat. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm glad you said that right there. Let's see here. What else do I got? So so family. All right. Me, I am a person who's looking for maybe a bill, a law, whatever that looks like. But I'm waiting for some senator or anyone to push a bill where it's an incentive for families, a man and a woman, to come together, get married, raise their family. Because the number one deterrent of crime, of high school dropout, that type of thing, is having a mom and a dad. Like all the stats prove this. So I'm wondering why we don't see some type of incentives where we're trying to keep families together, because the government has had no issue in the past and continues to do it, where they incentivize single parent homes. So what about the family? What can we do? What can we do there?
You bring up a very difficult circumstance. The family has been under attack for decades, and it shows. You're talking about crime, that's the problem. You're talking about schools, that's the problem. You talk on and on and on. The government has been successful in destroying family. That is, then you mentioned incentives. All this is mostly financial. And where does that come from? It comes from the federal government regulations and laws out there that foster people living separately. It does not foster marriage. It does not foster families. So where's the bill to come in and change all that? It won't be one single bill, Captain. This is something that we have developed over 3 generations of time, and we've come accustomed to it. Right now, and we talk about judges like we were a minute ago, someone can come in, if they're a married couple or even if they're not married couple. Someone can walk into the court or to the sheriff's office, make a complaint. Valid, invalid, it doesn't matter. They make the complaint. That goes immediate to the judge without a hearing, without evidence other than the statement, and then says, okay, you stay gone. He can throw one member out of the house and just keep them gone as long as he chooses to. That's discretion, and that's overused. I'm personally know of a circumstance. Where is this at? Is it in? No, it's not in Montgomery. It's in one of the rural areas where one has made the complaint. He gets arrested, pulled off his job, given bond. He goes back to his job 4 days later, if he still has it. And then immediately after he gets out, she goes and makes a new complaint. It's over and over and over again. And we wonder why our courts are crowded. the domestic issues that we have that come through the courts is eating up all of our resources and our time, and we're not dealing with it appropriately.
Yeah, I understand that it's a very tackle, because I mean I personally been told by some local politicians here, we're not in the business of keeping families together. We don't pay families to get together, and that's not, that's outside of our purview. But like I told them, and I just, I mentioned it to you, like the
It
government
is
has
in
no
our purview.
issue offering incentives for families to be separate.
That's
So
correct. You
likewise, it
look,
seems that there will be
another,
some kind of way where, whether it be, I don't know, no property tax for a married household. No, you don't have to keep paying for your driver license, or there's some kind of ways that you can alleviate it where people are more apt to come together and put their, resources together as a family. And it would
I
just benefit
concur.
all of us so much. Um,
We have some things. We have some things like that in existence. The homestead exemption was on property taxes was designed for families. That's what it was basically designed for. But when you come into government and you have an issue of a benefit of some type, well, each person can get a benefit. All right, that benefit is a particular amount. But if those two people get married, guess what? Those benefits decline. Talk about a disincentive, and that decline is more than their driver's license cost, or several taxes added together. We are destroying the family by financial incentives.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. What do you, in your role, do you have any say so in the way that a jurisdiction taxes their citizens? So, for example, I mean, at the city level, county level, is there any say so on your end about how much a city or county can tax their citizens?
Not on a city, not really, not a lot. Okay, the cities are pretty independent that way. The counties, in most instances, yes, we control that in various ways. Not very well, I might add. But anytime the county wants to do any kind of a tax, it has to come through the legislature. So whether that's a tax increase or a tax cut, we have, not that I've seen many of the others, but that is controlled by the legislature, at least in symbol. Yes, there is some control.
Okay.
And the counties get very angry about that too, because they're treated differently than their cities. And hence you find the counties not able to do things, but the cities can do things. And hence that creates a disparity. But it's part of where we are now.
Yes, sir. Um, the area that you cover, your constituents, you guys have some of the best high schools in the state of Alabama. How is it that down your way, you guys have created that standard and lived up to it year after year after year, to have some of the best high schools in Alabama? What are you guys doing differently?
Interesting question, because right next to those that are doing very, very well, the next school district over is doing very, very, very poorly. We are a dichotomy here. I'll use two examples: Saraland School District and Chickasaw School District. Talk about a comparison of contrasting each other in the same area, close, I mean, contiguous. And it's night and day as far as resources and performances. I don't know precisely. If I knew, I'd be a millionaire at this point, but I don't know why and how. I do know this: families are a key part of it. Economic development is a key part of that. Performance in schools and discipline in schools is a part of it. And how do you get primary things together in one place is difficult. And while we do have many good schools down here, we have our share of difficulties also.
Right. I can understand that, and because to me, well, I'm gonna ask you this question: how much does the politics play in the whether a school system does well or fails?
Loads. Politics are. I'll tell you this. I have a school district in my district that hired a new school superintendent, and within 2 years, she was able to bring that whole school district. The whole school district was significant. The best improvements that the state has ever had, that the state has seen improved throughout the state in one rural district. And you know what the reaction was? She was fired. Politics.
She was fired.
She was fired. Politics play a huge role in our school districts, in our school classrooms.
Absolutely. We
Hard
we
to
see that
believe, isn't
here.
it?
You know, I don't know how familiar you are with Montgomery
More than you know.
Or Montgomery school system. I said earlier, you
Yeah.
know, I was raised here in MPS, and I graduated from Brew Tech High School, and I've literally watched the school system has always been it's been pretty bad since I was a kid. But when I left high school, I remember where certain high schools were ranked when I left versus where they are now, and it's just we continue to go the wrong way when it comes to the education. And you know, I wish that people would look at other districts, like you mentioned, where you have and which one was the good one? Is Saraland the district that's in better shape?
Saraland is one of the better ones. Yes, it is. And that's not the only one. Several are. Okay.
And Chickasaw is probably not to that level.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Chickasaw is smaller, lesser economics, and lots of other issues. Yes.
Right. So, you know, I wish that, you know, a school system like MPS would look at other systems and just look at what they're doing, you know, correctly, because we all these school systems answer to the same, you know, authority. And that authority is the federal system. Like the feds, you know, basically run the school. So and even if they don't look at the feds, look at the state. The state has its own parameters. So if one school district is operating within the parameters of the state and they're succeeding, you know, I wish that these other school districts would look at them and see what they're doing the right way, and let's mimic that. But I don't know, maybe it's just that's too crazy of an idea. What do you think about
common sense has very little room in politics? Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole this agenda to, you know, to change basic biology, where you got males dressing up, pretending to be females, and going into a female space and basically taking over, whether it be sports, whether it be a beauty pageant or whatever? Like, is there something that you see as an issue, and do you see that creeping into the state of Alabama?
It's not creeping in; it's here. It has been here. I think you said it well, Captain. I think there is a biological matter here that's been ignored, and it is that has gained political clout. And how do you deal with that, with the politics and with the infrastructure, dealing with the federal system that comes down and forces things on us? How did we talk about this a few minutes ago? It seems like government isn't doing a very good job in building up families.
That's right.
Anyway, there's not a lot that I can say that has not already been said, and it'll fall on deaf ears like everything else. But I think we're on a very incorrect track here.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's just telling when you see any society that just can't get the basic right. If you can't get the basic right, it's like, man, like I think that's why we see the more complex issues kind of falling by the wayside because we're not getting the basic right. It's just
Uh,
it's we're not putting our children in a place of success, in position for success. We put them in putting
I've lost you there, Captain. And you know what? I'm running out of time too.
all righty, sir. Well,
Uh, I don't mean to cut you
I
short.
give you the floor. Is there any final words, final thoughts that you would like to say?
Well, yeah, since you got me on here on this forum, I would say vote for me on March 5th for District 2 in Montgomery and every place else. Uh, Look, I've got the experience level. I know how to do things. I know how these things occur. Um, I've helped Montgomery in many ways, and will continue to help Montgomery and every other county that's within the district. I've done this, those places where I represent, I've been able to bring in a lot of economic development in those areas, and I will continue to do so. I just need a greater forum with which to work. Hence, that's why I'm running for Congress, and leaving the state to accomplish more.
All right, all right. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully, once the election is over and we see who's in that seat, hopefully I can get you back on soon, and we can have a conversation about maybe some other topics. I appreciate
You
you
just
being
holler
here.
at me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Talk
Take
to you
care.
later. Bye bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was State Senator Greg Albritton. He is running for second congressional House of Representatives seat, and that is March 5th. March 5th, go and vote. Let's see. I got a couple of comments, excuse me, from my guy, Franco, aka Adrian. It's becoming more and more dangerous to live here. If things don't change, there will be a mass exodus from this city. It's a ripple effect. Nowhere to put criminals. So what is the judge going to do? They can't keep up with the number of criminals committing violent crimes. And see, that's what yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm trying to. That's why I asked him about the whole, the family, and let's try to figure out ways to build the family because that'll create less criminals for us to have to house and give health care and all that type of stuff. Um, let's see. He also says Jim Crow ruined our government. Man, hold on a second. I got to cheer. Hold on, man. Let's see here. And we are still facing residual effects from it. The focus of our government during Reconstruction was so focused on whitewashing this country and trying to have a leash on blacks. They didn't consider that blacks would become the majority. This has backfired horribly, especially in Montgomery. This is a conversation no one is ready for. So Reconstruction was focused on whitewashing the country, okay, and trying to have a leash on blacks. Okay, so you're talking about like that civil rights era, yeah, when they're pushing basic integration, and then yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So see, that's where the power struggle caused a shift. So whereas prior to the civil rights movement, blacks had prominent positions in conservative space, right? They were conservatives. All right. They not only did they live conservatively, but they upheld conservative values when it came to going and voting, or when it came to holding, public office. They held Republican seats. And so what happened was the whole civil rights movement was occurring, and after it occurred, many of those blacks changed their party. It's crazy how they do the whole party switch, but it really wasn't. It wasn't the politicians that switched parties. The people, the constituents, they switched their party affiliation, and so they switched over to the Democrat side, and it's been downhill ever since, right? Especially for blacks, for minorities, it's been downhill since that switch. It wasn't the politicians, it was the constituents that did the switch. Let's see. My guy Jay says, fire show as usual. We need God and we need to incentivize family. Keep doing the great work you do, Captain. I appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, we got to figure out ways to deal with the family. And Mr. Albritton said that there's certain incentives, on the books as it stands right now when it comes to like property tax and that type of thing. And that's good. I think there should be a little bit more. It's crazy that we have these single mothers, and they're able to have housing, food. I mean, they get they get crazy tax money back. It's like they get a lot. Like they get a whole lot. And this when you got a family and you're making, you're basically middle class or lower middle class, and you're trying to just, build up. There is no help for you. Like there's you're not really getting if you make a certain amount of money, you might be on at the threshold, but you're not able to get that government assistance that if you're single you can get. Especially, man, don't be single, a single mother with 4 or 5 kids. Oh man, you're about to get what, $8, $9, $10,000, maybe more than that back from the government. I mean, plus you already get welfare, plus you got housing, plus you already get food stamps and all that. It's like, man, taken care of. Let's see. Franco says, this city shipped in so many slaves on a daily basis. My phone is blowing up right now. Let's see. This city shipped in so many slaves on a daily basis that the society became a slave society. Slaves did not have rights at all. And we are only a few decades out from having to count jelly beans in a jar to vote. This society was made for us to crumble, not thrive. Since we are not thriving and living in a society that does not want us to thrive, we will continue to crumble. See, all that goes back to government. When I asked my guest about what role or how much do the politics play in whether a school system succeeds or fails, or really I just use schools, but whether that town, that city, that county, that state succeeds or fails, and he was like, it plays a huge part, and it does, because everything flows down from the politics, right? Or excuse me, the culture supersedes the politics, right? So everything goes downstream from the culture. So if the culture is one of, we need the government, or we need these laws in place so we know how to act, and we're not going to take from each other, or we're not going to hurt and harm one another. We need these laws to tell us that. We're in trouble, right? That's a culture that is inept. It's dependent on something that's not going to save it, right? It takes the individuals. The individuals make the culture, right? The if you let the government create the culture, you're already losing. You're already losing. This is why it's important to be a person of God, because when you're God led, you're able to hold each other accountable. You're able to set the standards, be the example, and so others will mimic that. We've all heard the expression mob rule, right? If you see a group of people running through the streets, attacking people, looting stores, got more people who see that happening, and they're more prone to that type of living, they'll join in, right? Because the group is the dominant force at that moment, so they want to be a part of the dominant force. There'll only be a few people that's going to be watching it like that's not something I want to be a part of, and there'll be even fewer people that will actually go and tell them stop doing it, right? Very few people would do that. So mob rule, once the dominant force is, we don't care about our schools like that. We don't want to, hold standards. We don't want to create discipline. We want these slaves to be lesser people. We want to make their vote be, 2/3 of a vote or whatever, the case. The mob rule is a dominant force, and people fell into that when it came to the slaves. That was the government. The government said the black people represent this amount of votes, or those blacks can't vote, or if they do vote, they can only vote this way. They can only vote Democrat because Democrats ran the South back then. That's the whole thing. It's the government. That's the issue. That's why we need less government. Less government is always better. You need the government, but you just don't need them to be, controlling everything. Let's see here. He says the government's agenda was to ruin the very chance for blacks to thrive in not only the city in this state, but in this government. So the way to do that is to cripple the family system, because the family system will ensure generational instability, generational poverty, ruin for the black race, which will keep whites in power. Yep. So when it comes to that whole the race part of it, it's not really like when we look at people in power today, right? When we look at people, I mean, really, you can go back and look in the 1800s. I mean, people can go back and look at that. Blacks have always been a part of the power structure along whites. Like there's not a white power structure and then blacks are just, subservient or less than or inferior or whatever. Like and it's not just one or two blacks who are put in it. No, it's just, if you look across the board, there are black mayors, there are black chiefs of police, you got CEOs that are black, you got, county commissioners. I mean, we had a president that, they say he was black. I don't know. I mean, he was African. I mean, he was African and whatever his mama was, Jewish or whatever. Well, his dad was from like Kenya or somewhere. So like he was Kenyan. He really wasn't like black, because their black is different. But it's like we got in all these positions, you got black people that have been in these positions and are in these positions. So it's not really a thing about the race part of it. People just don't happen to look a certain way, or their ancestry just happens to be from a certain place. But by and large, we're all born right here in America. So under the same umbrella of laws, policies, bills, all that, we all fall under the same parameters, right? That's just what that is. And so when you look at cities like Atlanta, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, Birmingham, Montgomery, you see black mayors, you see black chiefs of police, you see the attorney, the DA's black. You see, all these people are black. These people are controlling. You heard my guest. He said that, hey, the cities, when it comes to tax, the cities have a lot of leeway. They can do basically what they want to do when it comes to taxes. And it's not only taxes, it's other things too. Cities have a lot of leeway in what they can do as a city. So these cities are run by blacks, but the result is school systems suck, high crime, high poverty. Like, and you see it when you look at a city, like let's say Montgomery, for example. Montgomery, if you look at Montgomery back in 1990, and then fast forward 10 years to 2000, and then fast forward again to 2010, and then 2020, you're seeing a progression in the wrong way, the wrong direction, right? Progression in the wrong direction. Who's doing that? Who has gotten into power from 1990 to now? I mean, I you know what I'm saying? I'll let somebody else answer that question. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else answer that question. Who has gained power in Montgomery? It's been going in the wrong direction. More crime. You know what I'm saying? More dumb kids, not educated. They're dropping out of school. If they do graduate high school, they can't read. They can't write. They don't know how to speak. Like, it's just you got a diploma. You got a diploma. Congratulations for attending school. At least, you know, whatever the minimum amount of days is that you got to go to school to be able to graduate. You know, congratulations to you for going to school for 100 days out of the 180 days, and you made D's and C's, but you made enough C's to, you know, to pass, get your diploma. Congratulations, all right? But you can't read, can't write. You don't know how to address. You don't know how to present yourself when you meet somebody. I mean, what are we doing? Let's see here. Let's see. My guy says we are still operating under Jim Crow, separate but equal. They just don't call it Jim Crow anymore. Yeah, and that's called Bob Crow. I call it Bob Crow because now you got the black people that are in power are trying to push out the white people from the power structure, and let's see here. There is still a hidden agenda and a secret language amongst politicians and the white citizens of this country. Areas that are high in crime and high in poverty are the areas that have been in generational turmoil from the lack of resources, lack of education, lack of good family system. It is 100% a race issue and a class issue just because they have plugged in a few black people here. So when it comes to, but see, when we start focusing, here's the issue. When we start focusing on race and saying it's a race issue, there's a whole bunch of white folks that live in Appalachia that nobody even act like they know about, you know, let alone care about. And these people are the poorest in America. Like, you find me a black person that's living in the projects that's poorer, that's worse off than white people in Appalachia. Please do that, because in the projects you got housing that's not gonna blow over when the wind blows too hard. You know what I'm saying? If it floods, the feds are gonna come in and make sure it's cleaned up, right? Because it has to be to, you know, to standard. It has to be to HUD standards. So if anything was to happen to it, it's gonna get fixed. Not only that, but they're fed. They're given welfare to go buy, you know, EBT. They got EBT cash to go buy items that are non-food items. I mean, I mean, all kind of services. Let's not even forget that they get. You got the unemployment office. You got other agencies that you can go to, and they'll help you get a job, or they'll help you figure out other ways of getting resources for your family, right? Or for for your your the female, the mother and her 6 7 kids. Like that's the case. But when it comes to Appalachia, they don't get that same type of thing. These folks are living on mountains. Like they can't call for help when something happened. When a storm knocks their home over, they can't just be like, "Hey, feds, come fix my home." It's gonna be a long time if it does get done. You know what I'm saying? Like it's totally different, totally different. But those people are white. They're quote unquote white. Nobody knows about them. Nobody really cares about them. And it's like when we talk about race, we skip over that. Make it seem like the black people are the worst off when they're not. Uh, Casualties of war. That's all it is. I mean, but the thing is, I'm just using Appalachia. I mean, and that's a huge lot. That's a lot of people, by the way. But what about white people that are live in other areas of the country, like in the Midwest? What about the people? Like there are places that people like the average American doesn't even know about. Like don't everybody knows about Detroit, everybody knows about Atlanta. Like these are household names, so people know Baltimore, New York City, like they know that. But you mentioned like you know what's that Bismarck, Fargo. You mentioned Grand Rapids. You mentioned Lincoln. You know what I'm saying, in Nebraska. You mentioned these places, and it's like there's people that live in these places that they don't get the same treatment. They don't, they're bad off too. Single parent household are incentivized in the black community, right? Yep. If you are a single mother, they're literally saying you don't need a man. We will provide for you. Yep. We will give you child support, welfare, food stamps. You don't need a man. They know exactly what they are doing down to a science to ruin the black family. But see, there again, that's very true that they're doing that for those families too. But the same thing is happening to the white family too, though. If you look at stats over from back, let's say like 1940 and watched over time, well, way back you had black families that were more intact than white families. And what happened was the black family, it happened faster where their families broke apart faster. But white families have over time gone from 8% single households to 12% to 20%, 25. So now it's up to like closer to 30%. So it over time it's gotten worse as well. So it's not really a thing where like I would agree. I would agree if it was just black families that were impacted, then I say okay, it's racism because only black people are getting impacted. But it's not just blacks; it's white families, even Hispanic families that are, American families. Even those are starting to fall off because the push is to break up the family, not just a certain family that looks a certain way, the family as a whole, because let's not forget we all make up America. Hispanic, Asian, white, black, purple, green, stripes, whatever we are, like we all are American. The American family, if the American family falls, so does the country. So, it's not really, it's not about a color thing. We just happen to look how we look. Culture supersedes the color. Do not think that just because a large percentage of white families are becoming a part of this agenda, that it's not part of the main agenda. It's all the facade. I mean, there again, there again. So the government or the media or all these conglomerates of the left, they are pushing for all families to fall apart. But it's up to the individual and the individuals to either say no to a certain agenda or agree to it. And it just so happens that a lot of people from the urban America have agreed and just handed over their lives to the agenda. So that's on them, really. I mean, yeah, the government is coming in, and the government is coming in, giving you a loaded gun and telling you to blow your brains out. It's best for everybody, and this is figuratively speaking. And what people are doing in urban America is taking the gun and doing what they said do. And it's only a few that's not going to do it, and then they're doing the same thing to white America, Hispanics, and everybody else do the same thing, and you just having less of them that's like, yeah, let me go ahead and do that. But there's still enough of them that's doing it. Now, so that becomes the culture issue. One culture is one of we want the government to lead us. The other side is like we don't want the government to lead us. We can lead ourselves, but we want the government to, play a part. That's the culture issue. Let's see here. My bro Jay says, exactly right, Captain. They can push whatever they want. You don't have to go along with the agenda. Take accountability and use your brain. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And like they can kind of force you into a position, but you don't have to do it. I mean, I remember when the folks came with that pokey poke, right? They want to give you that pokey poke. And I mean, my job was like, they mandated us to do it. I was like, I'm not doing it. So I held out on it. Like I didn't do it. And if it cost me my job, it just cost me my job. I mean, that's just what it's gonna have to be. I wasn't getting that pokey poke. So, what I'm saying? They can make it hard for you. They can do that. They can make it hard for you to do something, but at the end of the day, you still got to make the choice to do it or not do it. And like people are some people put they say God over everything, God is number one in their life and whatnot. But when the situation arises where it's God or the government, they're gonna choose that government. And they're gonna make every excuse in the world of why they had to choose the government. Well, they were gonna take my job, they were gonna take my benefits, they were gonna do this and they were gonna do that, they were gonna lock me up. And it's like you still made that choice though. I thought you said God over everything. But when it comes to the government, hey man, they supersede God. That's the only entity that supersedes God. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm just speaking out of experience of this, man. Like I remember the pressure they got put on me. I remember that pressure, man. And you know what I'm saying? I had to it's certain things I had to say no to. I had to say no. Can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Certain places I went and they was like, man, put a mask on or whatever. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, well, you can't be in here. Okay, well, fine, bye. I had to go. So sometimes you gotta, it's I mean, that's a small thing, that's a smaller thing. I think putting a mask on is less of a that's less of a hill I want to die on than the pokey poke. Like you trying to give me the Fauci ouchie. Now that's a whole nother level. Like you're not finna put a needle in my arm and put something into my body just because you telling me I got to do it. Like, no, I'm not gonna do no, we're not doing that. But when it comes to a mask, it's like I still would be like, no, I'm not doing that. But in certain situations, like you kind of got to do it. So I was more willing to do that. But like I said, that pokey poke, nope, wasn't doing it, didn't do it, haven't done it, not going to do it. Let's see here. Uh, Yeah, man. But shout out to all the pure bloods. You know what I'm saying? People that didn't fold, man. Shout out to y'all, cause man, it got rough. Especially my people out there in Cali and New York and Michigan, places like that, man, where the government is just so oppressive and they just like just trying to bully you into doing stuff for them. They just trying to bully you, man. Like at least, it went. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of like that here. It was kind of like that in Montgomery. It was our local government. They were trying to bully us too. I mean, yeah, they were trying to bully us. I ain't even going. I can't even say it's just New York and California, because man, our mayor was pushing it so hard. They was making it rough, man. They really trying to make it rough. But like I said, the culture that I fall under is God culture. And I'm like he like you gotta stand up when it's time to. So I had to stand up and be like, nope, not gonna happen. Oh, all right. So I am gonna hop off of here, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Captain's Quarters show, hosted by yours truly, L. Milliner, the Captain. I had on Mr. Greg Albritton. He is a senator from way down south in Alabama, covering 4 counties, and I cannot remember what counties it were. It was, but I know Baldwin and Mobile counties were in there. Um, Escambia County was another one, and then there's another county too. So we're talking about way down south. But he covers those counties, and he's running for second district, which is the House of Representatives seat. And there are so many candidates. There's like I think like 8 Republicans and like 10 Democrats or something. Like it's like 20 people running for this seat. This is crazy. But I'm looking to get a couple of more individuals that's running. I don't know what's up with the I don't know what's going on with the Democrat side, man. Like I'm trying to get some Democrats on here. I'm trying to get some more Republicans too, but I'm trying to get the Democrats to come on, man. And I don't know. I don't know if they going. I don't know. I'm trying to get them on because I got another guy coming on this Thursday, but he's running for county commission, and his name is Cedric Coley. So he's running for county commission in Montgomery County. All right, that's District 3. So I'll have him on this Thursday night, 8 o'clock. All right. But I do want to add somebody else to that night too before he comes on. So I'm working that, man. But we'll see, man. I don't want nobody to be scared because I'm a nice dude. I'm real nice, man. Real nice. I'm gonna let you say what you want to say. You know. But I just want to certain things I want to know. I'm stupid when it comes to certain things. I'm dumb to it. So I just want to ask the professionals, the experts about these things because I want to learn. But anyway, thank y'all so much for hopping aboard and riding with your boy again for another show, man. It was episode 25. Am I tripping? Yeah, 25. Man, all right. Anyway, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all hit that like, share it. Make sure y'all go to YouTube from Left to Right USA. Subscribe. Watch the content. Go over to my Facebook, my professional page, the Captain's Quarters Show. Hit that like and follow over there. I put all my content from YouTube straight to that page. So yeah, be sure to hit that like, man. The like, it don't take about a split second. Hit the like. You know what I'm saying? You can hit dislike too. I mean, it works the same for me. I'm not tripping. If you don't like it, hit that thumb down. It don't make a difference. Show me how you feel. That's all. But don't be scared. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Till next time. Your boy is gone.